Carolina on the ride. Carolina on the rise.
What's going on, Panther Nation? Bill Mack here with another edition of the Panther Prowl. Glad you folks could join me for my upcoming video. This is the Week 10 preview of the Panthers hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, Panther Nation, we are no strangers to the Tampa Bay Bucs, as they are, of course, one of our heated division rivals. Of course, these two previous teams met in Week 2 of the season at Tampa Bay. Of course, we lost that game 31-17. The Panthers are now sitting at 3-6, and of course the Buccaneers are, of course, 6-3. The Tampa Bay are coming off a lopsided loss to the Saints last week, and our Panthers, of course, fell again by 2 points, losing to the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead, 44. I think it's 43-41 or 44-41. It was a high-scoring game, to say the least. Just to get a little bit of a tidbit of the injury report as of this Thursday, which is when this video is being created, and I listened to a little bit of Rule's injury report. Christian McCaffrey unfortunately injured his shoulder near the end of the game last week in his return back to the lineup after being out for almost 6 weeks with the ankle. And this looks to be, we don't know quite yet. He went to get a second opinion on his shoulder, and so we're not unsure yet. We know for sure he's not going to be back for Week 10. There's optimism and hope that he will be back by Week 11, but it still remains to be seen, of course. As in our practice, Russell Okung, he's still out. He may not play in the game. It's still not sure yet. He didn't practice on Thursday. Ian Thomas, of course, had a personal issue, so he wasn't there. And Stephen Weatherly, of course, had a problem with his finger, so he didn't practice. So those are yet to remain up in the air outside of Christian McCaffrey. He won't play, and Russell Okung may not play. Of course, he didn't come back last week either, so it remains to be seen just yet. Now, there's a lot of time between Friday and game time, but I know for sure the two of those more than likely won't participate. We did see Reggie Bonifant come reactivated from the injury list. He came in and he was limited practice, as well as Justin Burris in limited practice. So still no word yet on whether they'll be able to play or just improving and getting, and continuing to rehab and get better so they can return back to the field healthy. A few tidbits here, of course. The Panthers are playing their 6th straight game against either a league MVP or a Super Bowl MVP quarterback. So that's a really tough schedule. I think they've got like the second roughest, the toughest schedule here. Those quarterbacks are Matt Ryan, Nick Foles, Drew Brees, Mahomes, and Brady. Back to back to back to back to back. Just too many of those things, Panther Nation, as we see the Panthers, that defense being tested early by 6 straight Super Bowl or MVP quarterbacks in this. Even the strength of schedule is what I was talking about. They've got 9 games. Through 9 games, they have the toughest in the NFC. I think it says only the Jets have faced teams with more combined wins than them. So that's been giving us our defense, which is a young defense, more than its hands full of opponents the past few weeks. We see that the Panthers, though, however, one of the good spots is they're the only team in NFL with 3 wide receivers with at least 30-plus catches and over 400-plus scrimmage yards. So Teddy is getting the ball to our guys, and that's the great thing about it. Like I said last week, when he's on, he's on. And when he's not being protected, he's not being protected. The great thing about last week, a few bright spots, was our rushing defense. Last week, we only allowed 36 rushing defense. Our rushing defense only allowed 36 yards against Kansas City, which, that causes when you shut down the run, you got to pass, and it was Mahomes we were going against. So, it really didn't do much making one-sided, but we still couldn't stop the one side that it was. However, well, another thing as well is good is that they lead the league with fewest punts, so they're actually getting drives together, and they're not getting a lot of 3-and-outs with 18 punts in the NFL. So that's a great thing. I mean, these are sustaining drives. They just got to do a better job of scoring on the end. And leading to that, over the last 3 games, we've been talking about the Panthers getting those red zone touchdowns. Well, they've been perfect through the last 3 games. The last 3 games, they've went 7 for 7, and when they've gotten in the red zone, they've scored touchdowns on those. So that's great. They need to keep doing that in order to combine these teams. Because when you got teams like with Drew and with Brady, they're going to put up points. Mahomes, they're putting up points. You've got to be able to score points as well. Some things that our defense, I feel like, must do: get more pressure on Tom Brady. The Panthers last week were only credited, in their first meeting they had, the Panthers were only credited with just 1 quarterback hit, 0 sacks in that. That's the thing. You got to get pressure. And I've stated this numerous times, and we all know this, Panther Nation. Whenever you get that chance, your quarterback is going to put they got to put pressure on that quarterback. When you get pressure on your quarterback, knock him around a little bit. Get him in making mistakes, getting the ball out earlier than what he's anticipating. And the Panthers are just not able to do that. With that. Another thing they need to do is their defense needs to limit big plays. Now, the Panthers gave up 3 completions of more than 20 yards in their first meeting. Now, of course, it's going to be a little bit different lineup because Chris Godwin is going to be back from injury. He was out that game, and they still found a way to get downfield. And with the recent addition of Antonio Brown, it looks to be a different complex. So that defense is going to be stretched having those 3 guys, not to mention Evans, in there catching their completions and stuff. So also, too, what the Panthers need to do, what they didn't do their last meeting, was bottle up the run. The Panthers, were doing well with Leonard Fournette, but in the second half, he just kind of got it going, and he ended up with 12 carries for 103 yards. And like I said, too, they got to force more punts. The defense is 27th ranked in opposing punt attempts. The opposing punt attempts. So they're in the 27th. There's only 5 teams that's better than them in causing their opponents to get punts, and they haven't done that. Like I said, the last 3-4 games, have only like 2 or 3 out of all those games, which is kind of ridiculous. They're not punting the ball as much, but their defense isn't causing the other team to punt so much. So really, your offense is doing what you're doing, sustaining drives to keep the defense off the field. However, you are having the defense is not causing the offense of the opposing teams to punt the ball. They're not getting those essential 3-and-outs, because a lot of things with penalties, everything else that happens in that situation with the Panthers. So they've got to do something and get better with that. So keys to our offense, what our offense needs to do. They need to get to spread the ball more around. DJ Moore has been one that we have been looking at over the past few weeks. DJ Moore, when he played the last time against the Bucs, DJ Moore had 8 catches for 120 yards. Now, they were asking a question to rule about that, because people were noticing Moore is just not getting the ball. And he was kind of not bouncing around to it, like saying, well, it's not that he can't create any kind of separation. It's just the ideal situation in getting, which Panther Nation, we know, before Anderson came in, which to say Robbie Anderson is our number 1 wide receiver, is DJ was actually progressing, and he went over 1,000 yards last year, and don't look like he's getting the touches this year because, of course, Robbie's getting the majority of the catches, and he's getting open, and he's fast, but Panthers aren't really going deep much. They're going a lot of slants, going to Robbie a lot. Robbie's fast and hasn't went downfield as often as I would have hoped so. But I guess with that kind of offensive line still not being able to protect, they're kind of inconsistent. It's harder to wait and get the ball downfield without feeling pressure, because they gave up a lot of pressure, especially in their last game against Tampa Bay. Another big thing we look is you got to protect Teddy, and that's what we were just talking about. Last time these 2 teams played, Teddy Bridgewater was was running around all game long. The Bucs got 5 sacks on Teddy and 7 quarterback hits. Of course, a couple of sacks by Dominican Sue and also Jason Pierre-Paul. And of course, with that defense, they lead the league in sacks and takeaways. They're second in sacks and in quarterback pressure. So that defense gets to you. Teddy's got to get the ball out a lot quicker. That offensive line has got to try to hold up some to him for him to be able to get some passes complete. You can't always do it. And plus, they got to create open runs because C-Mac is not going to be in the game. You got Davis, you got Curtis, you got Reggie Bonifant may come back this week. Mike Davis is a great running back. You know, I really have enjoyed his playing, but you've got to make sure to create the holes for this guy to get through. If you can't, it don't matter if a tank is there. Can't get through past. If that offensive line can't hold up, nothing's going to be able to get through, and that defensive line is going to be able to break through, and it's going to get a lot of tackle for loss, a lot of tackles in the backfield. Can't let that happen. You know, you got to protect Teddy. Give Teddy time. We've seen consistency when they've had the protection up front for Teddy to be able to get the ball to his receivers, to his running back, have time to make good decisions. But when you don't do that, you see that failure, and that's with any quarterback, where if they're running around all game long and they're not able to set and throw, that says a lot, you know, and that's what we've got to do is do a better job of protecting him. Of course, that's with any quarterback, like I said. And 2 is what a difference we got to do different from last game was we got to score early. Last game in week 2, the Panthers the Bucs held the Panthers scoreless. Panthers didn't score at all in the first half, and they ended up when you don't score and your offense scores, you can build up a lead and kind of rest back on your laurels because the other team is going to have to throw from behind basically. So they've got to score early and score often as much as they can. If they do that, they can do well. And one more thing too, and I would say last but not least is an important part of it. Teddy can get to throw the ball, but you got to have a running game. You got to run the ball. The Bucs defense in rushing ranks first in the league against the run. 77 yards is all they're giving up per game on rush when their opponents are rushing the ball. So the Panthers have to rush the ball, and that's where I said this past comment about the offensive line. It starts there. Davis is a bruiser. Davis can run. We've seen what he can do, but that offensive line has got to hold off that defense, and they've got to open up some holes and not let people get in free run, or else it's going to be a long day for Teddy and for Davis and whoever else they have back there, whether it's Samuel or Trent Cannon or whether it's Bonifant. Whoever it is back there, it's going to be a long day if they can't run the ball, because you've got to run the ball to offset the allow the play action to be effective, and that's got to work. So we'll see how it goes, Panther Nation. Like I said, they play this coming Sunday at 1 o'clock at Bank of America Stadium. You know, I look forward to being this division game. Not too many people are counting on the Panthers to win. I don't think I've read where anybody is picking the Panthers to win, but they can. They have the ability to do it, but it takes those things to work and increase to get better. Like I said, they're still a young team, a young coach, and play calling everything. It's going to take time. People just have to have patience. That's one thing I've been noticing about on Facebook and a lot of these other groups is people don't have the patience. They expect the Panthers to be a 10-win team in this year. You got to be more realistic, Panther Nation, and have some patience. When any team that's got a lot of fresh faces, a lot of new people coming in, a new regime change with head coach and everything, it's going to take some time. Everybody's got to gel together and get chemistry. Let them go 2 years. Let them go 3 years. I mean, this coach has got a plan in place, but Panther Nation, we got to be patient and just look at how well our team would have projected to look and how well they're actually doing. Those losses were close. That, like I said, outside of the Tampa Bay game, every other game basically has been a one-possession game where the Panthers either had the chance to tie or win, and they just couldn't pull it out. But they've been competitive, especially last week against the defending Super Bowl champions. Lost by 2 points. What more can you ask for? Our team's doing well considering the fact of everything that's going on. Don't expect them to be a playoff team. Just pull for them, and if they win some games, great. If not, then they'll chalk it up, learn, and they'll move on and get better in the future. So, hope you Panther Nation enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to follow my social medias that are up above here. Like and subscribe to my channel. and give me a thumbs up. Share this video, and I'll continue pumping out more content. So until after the game on Sunday, Panther Nation, this is Bill Mack with the Panther Prowl saying, keep pounding.